Good afternoon to you once again. Remember, the frequency still remains 92.3 Nigerian for where talk is not cheap, or cheap, I beg your pardon. Where talk is not cheap. Oh my, I said it again. But anyways, forgive me. It's one of those days. My name is Kala Dakorubatipor. It's my pleasure having you on the other side of the radio. It's time for us to push the conversation a notch higher. And you're welcome. Let's see. So we want to talk about the tax conversation a bit more. Remember, during the big stories, we touched on it a little bit, and I asked the question if Rivers people are willing to support the governor, because a lot of times yes, some callers call in and say, hey, we love the governor, we want to be there for the governor, we want to do all these things for the governor. And the question is, if you love the governor, would you want to help the governor generate revenue? Because the governor has come out to say that taxation is one major alternative, if not the only alternative, to the dwindling oil revenue in Rivers State. So yeah, I'm looking at it from a different perspective right about now. I'm looking at it from the perspective that indeed tax is a major revenue for any government in the world. The best countries or the best governments you can think about in the world, taxation is one of the major, if not one of the biggest sources of revenue for these governments. However, we've seen majority of these countries, especially the ones Nigerians like to travel to, or like we say, jackpot to, use their revenues, most especially from taxes, to build a society that is developed. And talking about amenities very much available, from water running inside of people's houses to houses being available, to schools well equipped, to roads and all the infrastructures you could think of. They've used taxes to build them. So Rivers people who dream of better life, who dream of factories, industries and all the likes, are they willing to contribute by paying their taxes? Just like we do in our religious organizations, and we pay our tithes and offerings, which many people do not know is what aids in the running of these religious centers. Why have I brought this conversation to the fore yet again to ask for your opinion? It's because the governor said something about taxation, broadening the tax net, being the major reason or the only alternative for dwindling oil revenue. So I don't quote the governor out of context. I'm going to go back to the news bulletin and read from the is it the 3 o'clock and now 4 o'clock news item. Let's see, I think it was the 4 o'clock, where the governor said that his decision to broaden the tax net led to an increase in the state's internally generated revenue. Recall that in April, the governor announced that 100% increase in the state's monthly IGR was achieved. Now, while declaring open the 156th meeting of the Joint Tax Board of Nigeria in Port Harcourt today, the governor said tax is not meant to inflict hardship on citizens, but to make their lives better, or make them even better. Let's take a listen to what he said earlier today.
But to broaden our tax base without increasing the rates, which has enabled us to generate more internal revenue. We are aware of the Trans-Calabari Road, Elele, Ebeda, Omok, Dual Carriage Road, the zonal hospitals that we are building in Degema, Bori, Ahoda, and Omok, the most recent general hospital and psychiatric hospital that we're also building in Rumibo. These are some of the numerous projects that are fully, please underline the word, fully funded by our internally generated revenue.
All right, so you see the things he has listed there, saying that they have fully funded, or they are being fully funded by the IGR. Now, remember, sometime this year, in April to be precise, the governor had announced that Rivers State monthly revenue had jumped from 12 billion naira to 27 billion naira, which is more than 100% jump. More than 12 plus 12 is 24, so more than 100% jump, right? In terms of internally generated revenue. And he just said, you listen to him, that he broadened. Now, maybe we need more explanations as to what he meant by broaden. Did he, meet more people to pay tax? People who were not paying tax before. Did he, look for new ways to tax, broadening the tax net? That's a conversation. But, in that news item, the governor also said that increased tax is the only way to solve the problem associated with dwindling oil resources, which now is the focus of our conversation. Take a listen.
I urge you to come up with policy measures that will encourage the super rich to pay fair taxes voluntarily while channeling their excess resources into productive economic building and investment. Bearing in mind that our present situation requires only increase in our resources. We have the present challenges of oil vandalization, which is affecting the production level, thereby reducing the amount of money that this nation generates. Our situation requires increased revenue as of today.
So our situation requires increase in revenue, and the governor there was asking the Joint Tax Board of Nigeria to come up with policies for the super rich. I know I mentioned it during the 3 o'clock hour, and I told you I know he said for the super rich, but at the time I was asking if Rivers people were open to supporting the governor with payment of taxes. But let's look at it now. Let's even imagine that it is for the rich, or should I use the word super to add to that. Is that the only alternative at this point? Is that the only way to bring about? I'm really thinking, given the situation we find ourselves in, the economy is at a low state. I'm talking the macro economy is at a low state. I'm looking at the current inflation coupled with the energy prices. I'm talking petrol, diesel, and the likes, even electricity. When you couple all of these data together, or you collate all of them together, one would wonder if taxation of the super rich is the only thing that can be a major alternative to, or can be a major source of increase for our revenue in the state. I'm wondering, because one would think, and we've talked about it in how we can build our society, how we can build River State, what are the areas that we can focus on. And I remember some people talking about agriculture, and we also talked about food security this week as well. So I'm wondering, really, looking at Rivers, some people have said industrialize. Some people have said, is it something that may be too difficult looking at Rivers State? Because if we're looking, and yes, once again, tax is a major revenue for every government. But there's a way a government can industrialize that taxation may not become burdensome and cumbersome for the citizens of that country. Now, with a focus on River State, I can't help but have this conversation. Remember, we're sharing ideas. We're not criticizing. We're not fighting.